Sinners is one of those rare films that come along, smack you in the face, kiss you on the cheek, and remind you why you love movies. You love the movie-going experience. They don't have to be perfect from top to bottom or hit a bunch of studio check marks to make sure they're marketable and all these different things people talk about all the time. They just have to be the director's vision, having a conversation with us that's very entertaining and it licks a fire in our brain. And that is what Sinners in. It reminds us, and will definitely remind me, why I love movies. Coogler's vision is confident. It's laid out all there. It's very ambitious. And it's a film that makes me want to talk about it with my friends all week and do it digitally. Ryan Coogler was inspired to make this film from the death of his uncle, who came from Mississippi, where this movie is based on. And he introduced Coogler to the blues, which is a huge influence on this film throughout. And there's a particular song that he listened to that's about a party of all parties, all-nighter, like to burn the house down, but there's wolves outside waiting to tear them apart. And that's basically the themes and how the film is structured. He brought that concept back all the way to the Jim Crow era in the 1930s, and does a great job of using what was going on at that time with culture, prohibition, and different things like that, and blending it with multiple genres. The movie's funny, it has action, it's a gangster film, it has musical elements to it, it has supernatural elements to it, there's grief. The movie's tackling so many different things. This makes it Coogler's most ambitious and most personal film at the same time. So that cinematic conversation that Coogler is having with us remind me, and this is why I love movies. This movie weaves a tapestry with blues music, showing why music connects us all through generations, whether it's the past, present, or future, and how blues is in the center of all that, and all the other genres kind of stem from it. There's a sequence in this film that made me feel like I was flying. Oh my God, I couldn't believe how great it was. It felt like I was defying gravity. And once again, the use of music is so important to me in film. I feel like music is not used enough. The score and just songs in film to give it flavor. His use of it here and how it is detailed and used it within the story and the tapestry of the film reminded me why I love movies. And all the things are in the backdrop of the film. The main part of the film is a gangster film about those Smoke and Stack twins, played by Michael B. Jordan. He plays both twins. Coming home from Chicago after getting into some trouble, coming back home to Mississippi to start a new life, but unfortunately, trouble is at home as well. And I have to say, Michael B. Jordan's performance and the technical aspect of having two of them right next to each other, touching, interacting, talking to each other so seamlessly is movie magic. To me, I think Michael B. Jordan put on his best performance today. His natural charisma, his natural bravado, but using that to create two very different characters that have their own pathos and history and trauma and connections. And you can tell who is who, just not based on clothes or anything that was signaling it, just based on his body language, how they talk and how they interacted with things. Smoke being the more serious character, Stack being the more playful, chaotic character. I really love showing that difference, and the way he performed and did this was some of his best work, hands down. And with the editing team and what Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, because he directed himself while doing these sequences, was magical. I still can't figure out how they made both twins look so like right there next to each other, and it didn't look fake. It wouldn't feel like green screen. It's movie magic that makes you go, wow, this is amazing that they did this. It doesn't feel like something that you can just go outside and record and start making yourself. It's something that a master just made for you to enjoy. And once again, I'm going to say it throughout this review, it reminds us why we love movies. Back in Jordan's performance is a stacked cast of newcomers and a lot of veterans alike. The hilarious Delroy Lindo, who deserves all the praise, she probably should have gotten an Oscar already, is so amazing in this film. He brings so much history and pain in this film, but also is really, really funny. The amazing Wunmi Mosaku, she's absolutely amazing in this film. She brings a lot of emotional heft to the movie and adds to kind of the supernatural pathos the film has surrounding it, and her relationship with a lot of the characters is pivotal in how things played out. And I think that once again, she was in Loki, she was in Lovecraft Country, she's been in a lot of things, and every time I see her, she nails it and knocks it out of the park. She does it here again. Haley Steinfeld, who's an actress that has been, I think, for a long time now, since a kid, and she's mostly been in kind of blockbustery kind of films. I think that she shows here that she's ready to be taken as a serious adult actor. She brings a lot of history with her, being a character that is growing up in a Black neighborhood, but being white passing. And she brings also a lot of lust in here, because the movie is about a lot of the different sins that can afflict you. And this movie is way hornier than I expected. And she's in the middle of all that.
You're nasty.
And then newcomer Miles Caton, who was found with auditioning for this film. He's a blues singer, does an amazing job in his first time out. He is a central character of the story, as he's the cousin of the Smoke and Stack twins. And he does a great job of all the emotional gambit that he has to go through here as a preacher boy who's going deep into all this kind of sinful nature and the scary nature that is going to happen throughout the film. And I expect to see this man popping up in other projects. He is fantastic, and this is the type of find that I love seeing it in movies, because you don't always want the same actors over and over and over. Like a lot of these actors that I talked about in praise, I've seen in tons of projects, but it's great to see them surround a newcomer like this and lift them up. And I think the most important aspect of the characters is the fact that they created a cast of characters here that I just wanted to be with. I just wanted to stay with for hours. When the movie ended, I was kind of sad. I wanted to stick with these characters for a long time. And that's why we go watch films. We want to jump into a world that we can get lost in, have memorable characters, a cast of characters that you can attach to, and you just want to go on an adventure with. And they definitely did that here. With the power of blues intertwined through everything that's going on, Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler also nail it when it comes to the themes of this film. I mentioned lust. There's also desire and hunger and trying to start anew, and also the importance of the powerfulness of culture and music. And the movie also tackles racial tension in the Jim Crow era and how a lot of it is still similar to what's going on now, especially right now. Make no mistake, the movie is still highly entertaining, with it being funny throughout and just having an engaging story that you can connect with and have fun with, despite the heavy themes surrounding everything. Ryan Coogler made a FUBU movie, which I like to say is for us, by us. A movie that's going to elicit a lot of emotion from people from the African diaspora. It's not saying that if you are not Black, African-American, African, Caribbean, that you can't enjoy the film. I think tons of people who are not from those cultures will enjoy the film because it's just fun in total. But I think you're going to get more out of it because the cinematic language is speaking so much to us about things that we grew up with, saw in our neighborhoods, and we learned through history. Too many times in the movie theater, I was pointing at the screen like Leonardo DiCaprio, because I was seeing things that I feel like I grew up with, or I can relate to, or heard stories about. And that felt so powerful and moving for me. That showing my culture, a part of my culture, and the representation that seen on screen, that is what I want to see when it comes to people talking about representation. And that's why I personally love movies. And this movie plays out like a Western version of Goodfellas, watching the Smoke and Stack twins trying to set up this thing so they can make this mill into a juke joint, grabbing who they can that they know from the community that is talented and trying to uplift them. And he's trying to start anew in the cleanest way possible. The way the movie plays out like that, them reconnecting with people that they haven't seen in so long, I could have just sat back and watched the movie just based on that. This kind of Goodfellas gangster film with gangsters trying to start anew and build up their community. I honestly kind of wanted to see a film like this for a long time. But unfortunately and fortunately, things go awry. The movie has a supernatural element that you almost forget is supposed to be there until it pops up. The second half of the film is where the film's supernatural elements come in, and all the themes that I talked about just now come together and connect throughout, with it being like forced upon with this supernatural oppression on top of it. Jack O'Connell is the main antagonist in this film, a vampire who wants one thing. He's on one mission, and the thing that he wants is in Smoke and Stack's juke joint, and everyone in there is disposable and in his way. He gives an excellent, wiry, haunting performance that could have been easily very boring stereotype trope of white vampire is bad. But because of the actor's performance and the way it was written, we get an antagonist, an evil character that's nuanced, where you kind of understand where he's coming from by the end of it because of the historical relevance to his character and how some of it is coming from oppression through religion. I think that the way they executed that, and the fact that faith and religion is so intertwined in this film as well, because this movie's set in Mississippi and a lot of that is a spiritual town. I think they executed those aspects really well. And I think Ryan Coogler understands why people love vampires really, really well. The way he executes a lot of the tropes and stereotypes of vampires that we know and love and make sure those rules are played with is awesome. A lot of the themes that come from vampires, how it ties into culture and kind of the blood-sucking aspect of someone trying to get part of your culture vultures in real time, I thought was really, really interesting. Having that lust, that desire, that sin, and all the different things that usually come with a vampire story intertwined throughout everything was brilliant. I'm sure this movie is going to enter the annals of some of the best vampire movies ever. But I gotta say, I wish the marketing did not spoil that this movie was a vampire movie or have vampire elements to it. I could imagine just being excited to watch a gangster flick of some gangster trying to uplift his community and people keep trying to stop it, to find out, oh shoot, this is also supernatural, has a vampire element to it. I think that would have been a shot. It would have been great, like how From Dusk Till Dawn was. When you went into that movie, you're watching a Tarantino fun gangster film, and then it gets into the vampire stuff. You're like, whoa, and it's like an awesome moment. Even without that surprise there, me knowing that this was coming, the movie becomes a pulpy, gory, action-packed, pulpy good time. A B movie with A-level ideas, craftsmanship, and performances. And while I absolutely love this movie and it reminds me why I love movies, the movie's not perfect, unfortunately. It falters in parts to me towards the third act, where I think things got too little chaotic and a little bit sloppy, because the intention and the idea that they wanted to execute, I think for the most part they landed it playing there, even though the little bit of turbulence, but I think it was executed in a way that could have been fleshed out. It felt a little rushed towards the end, where I was satisfied with what happened, because what happened on the screen is not something we see often, but I wish they took a little time to execute certain aspects of it. So the dread that was being built up throughout that third act could have kind of exploded in a way that I thought was a little bit more satisfying than we got. And even though I think this is masterful work from Ryan Coogler from a directing and writing standpoint, I think there were certain character moments and character interactions and character arcs that which got fleshed out more, and some story points or story beat points that we really got into. Unfortunately, I feel like that the movie settled on a little bit of a more vibe than plot aspect, which I really like the vibe. I don't know if maybe I wanted this movie to be longer. Probably wanted this movie to be longer. I could have sat there for 3 hours if we really got everything that I wanted out of this film. But in that aspect, I felt like the movie dropped a little bit short. Despite my faults with the film, I think that this movie is going to go down as one of the best films of the decade, one of the best vampire films that we've gotten in a long time. And vampire films are coming back in full force over the last 2-3 years. And I think that Ryan Coogler's ambition, effort, and execution greatly outweighs any faults that I have with the film. It's gorgeous to look at, with beautiful cinematography and texture to the film, with movies filled with CGI and VFX that looked fake, and you could tell it was great to see actual sets and texture and dust and grime and sweat, where things look absolutely real. And I think that they really executed it really well, where you can go see this in IMAX and be satisfied. Aspect change ratios, the use of sound and sound design, all of it is done here at a top tier level. And there's so many micro moments that happen throughout the film that had me engaged that I do not dare spoil, that makes this movie so fun to watch, that I think you should go watch it in the theater. There's a few movies in 2025 that I could tell you to go run and watch in the movie theater, but this is one of them. This is such a cinematic experience, something that grabs and holds you and sinks its teeth into you, that it's worth going to see on the biggest screen possible with the best sound, whether that's IMAX or Dolby. This is an original film with the auteur operating at a high level that we need to go out there and support, because it's such a great time and we want more of it, right? We want more films like this that is a one-off, that it's just great that you can go back and rewatch it and remember the good times about it. Coogler & Co. pulled off something special here, and it reminded me, and hopefully it reminds you, why we love movies. With that said, I'm going to give Sinners a B+. Question of the day is, what is your favorite vampire movie? Drop your comments down below and let me know, and you can watch more of my content.